Okay. We spoke about attention, what it is, what characterizes it. We spoke about the importance of attention nowadays. We spoke about how it's an endangered resource.
Endangered species.
Yes. And now we want to speak about, so what do we do with this crisis? How can we address it? How can we meet it? And what can we do to learn to manage our attention? How do we become the boss of it? How do I bring it back into my control? That it's not something that I have to be in the mood for, to be attentive, or just have luck so that I'm not distracted today.
Usually it works like this.
Yeah, but that I can really bring my choice into this.
Yeah,
so
it's not usually in our hands. So there is the question of how do I take it back to my into my hands. And again, hands here as a metaphor, because
where is it? Where is this attention? Where do I find it?
So the good news are that once we work through the body, and once we accept that attention is embodied, we can have a tangible access point to what the body is doing, and through the body we can access attention. So it becomes more something that you can grasp, you can have a grip on, can work with. And this is what I would say allows us to approach embodiment, again, beyond the luxury or beyond just looking at healing, as a way to collect our resources together. Because the entire body becomes the system, or the lens, the bigger lens, the landscape. So if we think of attention as a resource, and again, Flo was describing it, Csikszentmihalyi described it the first time, I think some 40 years ago. And he described attention as a psychic energy. Again, despite the terms that can always be complicated and we don't want to get entangled, the fact that it's an energy, the fact that it's a resource, means that it's something that I can start to come to terms with. And this is the first thing to ask ourselves. So, for instance, one thing to ask is, how do I collect this energy?
Yeah, because it's often scattered.
Scattered, fragmentized, exactly. So how do I collect it? You can even think of it as a body. How do I bring my attention here and now? Like, usually when we get afraid, now there was a siren, there is suddenly a noise or something, we get afraid, our attention is automatically drawn there, organically, biologically.
Yeah.
That's already like a living creature, that we are meant to be like this. But unless something scares me, I will not wake up. So how do I not scare myself? Like, boo. But how do I collect gently, in a healthy way, I summon my powers to the moment. Yeah. So this can, for instance, people can do this from a technique, if it's a qigong, or it can be a gesture like Tai Chi. It can be the prayer. It can be a breath. But different means that we can use, first of all, to bring myself here. And we are going to work with those little shortcuts. How can I cue my attention that when this comes, I collect myself? So this would be a very important gesture, I would say, to start with.
Collecting. Summoning is a nice word. I summon my full superpower.
Like all the people that I am. So I bring it. I concentrate. Many of us do it automatically in our frowning foreheads. Like, this is like thinking, it looks like constipation, but it's supposed to be concentration. So how do I bring this and get ready to go?
Yes.
Some people can shake their heads. Different tricks. Glass of water. The Rolling Stones, they drink a bottle of vodka before.
So they nice
they
and
get concentrated. Yeah.
But
so people have different tricks.
What happens there? I mean, I can definitely relate to what you say, and that this motion, this act of summoning, focusing, bringing in, I know it,
Yeah.
I know the experience, but
What actually happens?
what
there?
actually happens?
Amazing. It's a very, very good question. I'm not sure that I have an answer,
Yeah.
but the fact that you feel it is the most important,
Mm-hmm.
because then you can learn to work with it, cultivate it, do it.
Yeah.
But let's get back. Maybe we'll get answers along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going just to
Mm-hmm.
collect some flowers on the
Mm-hmm.
path. So another aspect of this is that when I have a resource,
Mm-hmm.
think of electricity or the device, electric device.
Mm-hmm.
I can decide to turn it on,
Yeah.
and I can decide to turn it off.
Yes.
This is one of the things that really struck me as a young person concerning thinking in the mind. Because when I learned to turn off my mind and to be quiet,
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked, because actually I saw that it's possible,
Yes.
but we never do this.
Yes.
So we do it with the car, we do it with the computer, we do it with the lights,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't do it
Mm-hmm.
ta-la-la.
Mm-hmm.
So the question would be, how do I bring myself to be able to shut my attention down in a way?
So it's different than falling asleep,
Yeah,
because you could also argue that falling asleep is being switched off.
as well, but
Mhm.
it's usually with less conscious
Yeah.
awareness there. So how do I turn off my resources now,
Mm-hmm.
or disengage
Mm-hmm.
from something I work on? How do I pull out?
Mm-hmm.
Before we said about summoning,
Mm-hmm.
again, you can see that everything is spatial. It's in space.
Mm-hmm.
I collect myself.
Mm-hmm.
I engage. I learn to detach. Like, I see that the answer doesn't lie in this corridor, that I'm
Mhm.
struggling and struggling and
Mhm.
struggling,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell myself, wake up, baby,
Mm-hmm.
it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
How do I take my invested energy
Mm-hmm.
away
Mm-hmm.
and allocate it, bring it somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
This is a highly intelligent decision
So needed.
that even,
oh my God.
even before the cognitive part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a lot to be said there, but I can see that there is, just like the summoning, the collecting, I can also withdraw.
Yeah.
I can calm it, because I don't have to focus, let's say, on anything.
Yeah.
You see it sometimes in elevators. People don't know what to do because there is nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they concentrate on a corner and they look somewhere. What did you find there? Nothing, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Phew. What can you do with your attention when you don't have to pay it?
Mm-hmm.
You keep it in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I maintain my resources?
Yeah.
Or again, the landscape, how I see that now I have to address this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Or I see that I have to address this issue not now, in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
There is management of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
There is almost like scheduling it, but now doing it to your inner resources. Now, because it is so near,
Mm-hmm.
because we feel it here, it's as if more difficult to manage, because it's not like moving something on the paper.
Yeah.
But actually it is, because if it starts to be responsive,
Mm-hmm.
I see that I'm struggling with something and it doesn't bring anything, I am able to say, hey, say in words. It's funny because I don't say it in words, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. To
Take a breath,
disengage.
broaden your,
Yeah, I think
broaden
this
your
is.
awareness, notice what's happening, feel again that you are here, take your investment, cut your losses. Like
Yeah.
if you lost now half an hour
Yeah.
struggling with a television cable,
Mhm.
I don't know what. I'm not a very tech person, so for me it's very frustrating. Lost, done, cut, back.
Yeah.
Here it's really moving in space. It's
Yes.
amazing. And then
Yes.
you withdraw, you take a breath, feel your frustration. Maybe have a cup of coffee. And then
Yeah.
go into something else.
Yeah.
This ability to move is so simple, and yet we so many times don't use it because it's on autopilot.
Yeah.
And it's like your vacuum cleaner, this robot that cleans the
Yeah.
floor, gets stuck in the corner, cannot go out. And
Yeah.
humans do the same.
Absolutely.
So this kind of thing, for instance, makes a difference. So we speak about collecting, we speak about engaging, we speak about disengaging, we speak about on, off.
Yeah.
And one more thing I would like to bring in, and
Can I give a few examples first? Sorry,
but
to milk this before we continue.
Yeah,
okay?
please do.
Because I noticed this in many people, that they get frustrated because they're not able to stop their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So they're as if stuck in this corner of specific thoughts.
Yeah.
And they keep investing their energy there, even though it makes them feel like crap.
Mm-hmm.
It prevents them from doing anything else, but they're not able to withdraw their attention from this specific thought.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I think this is one very, very important area where this tends to happen, that you're like in this, but I'm not good enough, for example, in this loop. It might get super elaborated why you're not good enough, and for how long already, and until when, forever.
And which auntie tells you this?
Exactly. But it's as if impossible to withdraw the attention from this thinking.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, many of my clients wish to learn to rest.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is where we end up, that this seems to be important. And when I ask them about it, to give more details, we discover that they don't rest, they distract. So instead of choosing to rest, they disengage from what they're doing, but they engage with puppy videos, or they consciously choose distraction because they don't
Candy
know.
Crush or how
Candy Crush, yeah. So their attention doesn't really rest, they just put it somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then it's not really rested.
Yeah, but you can see that this is the result of certain illiteracy in the art of attention management. Because also the way of thinking, and all of us get into those knots. Yeah. So I find myself, it's a little bit like going in the big city that you don't know. I heard in Cairo there is a huge traffic, there is a circle, a roundabout. But many people that are tourists, when they go into the roundabout, they don't manage to go out again. So they turn many times because there's so much traffic from all over. So some of us have the mental life or thinking of this kind, that we can go into those knots again. There's a beautiful book by Lang that's called Knots. And it's the way of thinking that repeats again and again. So
and I think we all know it,
right?
Of
course. So this is one of the things that attention management would have to address for a person that is interested to make a difference. Wow. And how do we use the body and the attention in order to reduce, maybe not entirely withdraw, but to reduce the time, to reduce the intensity, to reduce the engagement, and to bring our attention somewhere else. And it also partly goes in the direction of the second example, that if I would, let's say, play with a computer game and then I look at the phone game or look at the television, let's say, I still work with my eyes, with my finger, and I still work on the same capacities. The beauty of it is that when we use the body and I can shift awareness within the body, I might not have to play with my fingers or with my eyes or be busy with a screen. I might be able to shift my awareness to another space within the galaxy that I am. Yeah. And it becomes an empty spot because it's terribly slow. So if we spoke before about the quick screen changes that keeps you hooked, when you breathe slow, sometimes you can breathe over 10 seconds inhalation, 10 seconds exhalation, and you feel other parts of your body. It's as if it becomes boring because it's less hectic. There is less action. But there is a lot of information in this sensation of the body, and then you can withdraw from the way your eyes and fingers are going crazy with a certain thing. Those are part of the stuff we are looking at when we speak about attention management. Yes. So it might not be that you stop entirely all your thoughts, but you do something that allows your eyes to rest. Yeah. Okay, one of the very mysterious things for me, and I just read across very little sections in books that I came across since decades, I'm interested in this, is that when we think, our eyes are working with us. So you want to remember a phone number and you look somewhere in space, but the phone number is not there. Yeah. Like, why did I forget my key?
Yeah, you're looking inside your mind temple.
Exactly. But look again at the genius of embodiment and the genius of attention management. If I now work with my eyes, I undo the knots in my mind. So if I learn to do something with the way I breathe, with the way my eyes are situated, I work backwards, like reverse engineering.
Yeah.
And I start to work with the magic of my perception, and then I fall back from the embodiment perspective. I don't go into nothing. It's not exactly this. It goes into the here and now embodiment experience, and then I can also rest better. Yeah. So teaching people to stop their minds from wandering in a specific way, to learn to put an input, and gradually your body can pick up and the signals and learn that it's possible to go there. To be able to withdraw your resources back. Those things are definitely possible. And I would say even astonishingly that I could not imagine at first that we don't learn this in kindergarten, in school. Like this is like a knife and a fork. This is like eating with chopsticks. This is like preparing yourself a salad. How come, like I'm almost screaming in my mind, when I say this, it breaks my heart. How come we don't learn this as children? And if we learn it, it always belongs to something else, to martial arts, or now to be a monk in a specific way. This is necessary to be human, and that's where we have to try to rekindle this. And I'm sure that it can be done in a better way, but like we have to start somewhere. So working with this, I already saw the results of working with people and how they can learn to do this. And they really actively learn to move their awareness within the field of their perception and to focus their attention, to use the body. If attention becomes overheated, okay, think of it like, how do I use my belly, my legs, my knees, the lower body to calm my crazy mind now? It's part of my intelligence. Like I can see myself and I say, Eylam, now you are a little bit crazy. Please climb down from this tree. You know, this is a very mature stance to see yourself and say like, really? Take it easy. And then I can do something with my breathing, with my body, laying down, doing something that disengages the crazy nut case that I became out of this corridor that I'm now banging my head like I don't know what, and against the wall. So these or going into the circles, endless circles. So there is a lot that can be done, a lot that can be experimented with. Things work for different people differently. But we can learn this, and I would consider this, it's a bit like a creative art before the art. Okay, it's like how do you prepare the canvas? How do you clean the brushes? It's like this kind of apprenticeship thing that in the old times people used to go to the master to learn how to clean the brushes. And how to, this is just the brushes are now here and in the field of your awareness. And the last point I wanted to say before your interesting examples is how do I keep my hands clean? How do I keep my teeth brushed? Those are acts. It's a thing we practice, but it makes a difference to the entire organism, our entire health, hygiene.
Hygiene, exactly.
How do we do this? With our minds, with our attention, or with our thinking. Okay, and one of the things important also to mention is just attention gives you the drive, gives you the direction, gives you the focus. It's like a beam, like a bit like a lamp, like a beam, but the thinking will be the frequency running on it. It'll be very difficult to think if attention is entirely not there.
Yes.
The attention is a bit like the radio wave under the signal. So if we learn to work with the attention, we transform the thinking. If we learn with the eyes, we can transform the knots in the brain. We can reverse engineer those things. It's like, but we need for this a separate kind of intelligence, a separate kind of genius that usually we only think how to do it faster. We don't learn the other way. And here we can learn to do it backwards. We can learn to slow it down. And we can explore this in ways that make sense for people in their unique experiences. It might be that for one person to let go of the eyes, bring them to a enlightened state of calmness, and for another person it brings so much nervousness and fear that they cannot handle it. This is part of how we have to do it intelligently and see what fits for whom. But this is part of the training. This is already going into the nitty-gritty, and it's a beautiful thing to see this hygiene concept of how do I engage, how do I complete. And maybe one last thing, funny thing about this, I think we still are okay with the time, is that many times when we finish something, we are not really finished. Either when we finish something, we already want to be away quickly. So we drop the dishes, I don't know, we drown the dog. We are with our minds, we are already 200 kilometers away. And we just run through the motions of doing something, and it's just sloppy. We are not there because we are running away from finishing it. Or the opposite thing, especially with emotional things, I finish something and I'm still in the laundry machine and I didn't really finish it. So how do we learn to finish things? Just like we wanted in the beginning to collect ourselves to start something, how do I learn to finish things that it's really finished? Finished.
That we don't drop it and it's not still sticking to our hand. Really.
But you come out from a talk with, let's say, somebody called Tom, and you are constantly disturbed by Tom, and then somebody talks to you in the street, and as if now you put Tom on the little miserable creature talking to you in the street, and you mess up the whole thing because now you are angry at this one, actually you're angry at that one. Oh la la. Yeah. So how do we complete those things? And it's a bit like closing now the computers. This is very funny. They force us. Do you want to save the file? You want to go out? You have to turn it off. We can also mess that. But it forces you to, okay, now I finished this project. Done.
We had an update. Can we please restart?
So we can restart, but then done. This kind of finished. It's a bit what you described before about having something personal that used to draw attention and now it's not anymore there. It's finished. And when it's finished, it makes room for something else. This is part of management. Like I work on this table with people. Just imagine that I would take all the last people from the last week or two, as if having them together on the table, it would be a mess. This is in our minds as if totally okay. And then we go through all kinds of very bizarre circles. So noticing the mess and then addressing the mess and then using the body in order to allow us to cool it down a bit, and learning to dance with the attention and to move it in different ways. It opens before us a very creative, a very intelligent, and a highly complex field of awareness without the stuff. Because I don't have now to be busy with this object or with that object here. I go to the magical capacity that allows me to deal with each one of them. But I go one floor lower to the foundation. And there is a world there to discover. And no wonder that it makes us better in everything we do, because it brings the core value of the attention. So all the talents and everything, all the capacities we have become enhanced because we can manage it better. So this is in a nutshell. But I'm getting excited now. I will have to start it.
It's a very big walnut.
There. It's a watermelon. Walnut, I'm sure.
In a watermelon shell, like we say.
Okay?
Yes.
Cool.
Excited.
So, looking forward as well.